Lai 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 Shabbat Shalom. Tonight, we celebrate not only Shabbat, but also Rosh Chodesh. With each new moon, we have a new renewed sense of hope. With Pesach just around the corner, my wish for this new month is for us to experience freedom. For some, it is the freedom to live safely in the land that they love. For others, it might be escaping from a bad relationship or job, being free from anxiety, sadness, health issues, loneliness, or financial worry. On this Rosh Chodesh, I wish us all freedom from whatever constrains us. We pray that this new month of Nisan brings us a life of peace, a life of good, a life of blessing, a life of sustenance and honor, a life in which we may be fulfilled with the love of Torah, and a life in which God will fulfill all of our heart's desires for good. Shabbat Shalom. That was a little weak. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. We continue now with the lighting of the candles. Who would like to come and light the candles? Laists. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you, Shabbat Shalom. We are escorted into Shabbat by the angels as we sing Shalom Aleichem, which can be found on page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Bi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Machuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We continue now greeting the Shabbat bride as we turn to page 138 for L'Chadodi. We will sing the first, second, fifth, and ninth verses. And I think since nobody's logged on, is it safe to turn this off now? I'm sorry? Absolutely. Yes, that's why I'm turning it off so I can see everybody's beautiful faces. We shall greet the Shabbat bride, 138. Shemo v'zacho b'dibor echad, Yishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shemo tiferet ve'litchila, Aylanai lechadodi, Aylanai likrat kala, Aylanai b'nei Shabbat, Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor ha'beracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machash v'tchila, aylanai lecha dodi, aylanai likrat kala, aylanai penei Shabbat, Hitorari, Giva Orech Kumi Uri, 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 Shir Daberi, Give Kavod Adonai alayich yigla, Eilenai lechadodi, Eilenai likrat kala, Eilenai b'nei Shabbat, Eilenai dikabila, Bo'ih v'shalom materet ba'ala, Gam v'simcha uv'tzohona, Toch emune am segula, Bo'ichala, Bo'ichala, Eilenai lechadodi, Eilenai likrat kala, Eilenai b'nei Shabbat, Eilenai dikabila. Please remain standing as we continue with the Baruch Hu, the call to prayer. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Leolam Va'ed. You may be seated as we continue with the English for the Ma'ariv, Aravim, which can be found on the bottom of page 148. Please join me. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzivaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Umavir yom mevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvin laila, Adonai tzvaot shema, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai, amariv aravim. We continue as we rise for the Shema, which can be found on page 152, as we declare some of the greatest words from the Torah in which we declare the oneness of God. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. You may be seated as we continue with the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam b'shivtecha b'veitecha ובלכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We turn now to the words of Michamocha, the words that were recited after the children of Israel crossed the Red Sea. And I think I actually started with the melody at the beginning of the service for Michamocha because I feel like as we are entering this new month of Nisan, in just 2 weeks is Pesach, what would be more appropriate than the words of freedom expressed in Michamocha? Please join me. Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha neta b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osef eleh, Nora tehilot osef eleh. Malechutecha rahuvanecha, Moki yam livni Moshe u'Miriam, Zehli anu v'amru, Zehli anu v'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. V'nehema kifat Adonai et Yaakov, ugalo miat chazak mimenu, Baruch ata Adonai Gal Yisrael. We now turn from words of freedom to words of protection. The Hashkivenu expresses the extra protection needed by God at night as we lay down to sleep, and we say it in our evening service. And I don't know if any of you have experienced yourselves being more fragile at night. I can tell you I don't know if I remember, but certainly my children, the meltdowns that happen at night, even those teenage meltdowns, were fragile at night, and we need that extra protection and to be woken up and renewed the next morning. So we join together for the Hashkivenu, which can be found on page 160. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Save us of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hoshkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, ve'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim, lechaim, lechaim. We rise now as we continue with the words of the tefillah, or which literally means prayer, and it's called the tefillah because this is the main prayer which is recited at every prayer service. The rubrics of this main prayer, the first and last blessings, and they may change in the middle depending on the day of the week, Shabbat versus a weekday. So it's called the prayer HaTefillah, or Amidah, because that means, anybody know? Standing, which is what we are doing. Excellent. So we're going to continue with the opening words of the tefillah on page 164, and then continue silently, and we'll join together at the end of the Amidah on page 180 with Oseh Shalom. Shalom bimramam, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevil, v'imru Say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevil, v'imru amen. La 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 At this time, instead of hearing words of Torah, which usually the rabbi or myself would deliver, we thought we'd literally hear words of Torah. And although it is not necessarily traditional to read Torah on Friday night, it's traditional to read Torah when people are here. And since it's our tradition to be here on Friday night, we decided that we should hear the words of the Torah. So, this week's Torah reading is Tazria. In it, the Torah devotes much time to discussing the affliction known as Sara'at. Anybody know what Sara'at is? You know, I actually was convinced that it was psoriasis, and I looked it up, and it isn't, but it is another skin disease. It is what we loosely say is leprosy. I'm convinced that it has to be connected, I'm telling you. So, Sara'at, which is most commonly translated as leprosy, is a skin disease or a mold that was also thought to live in the walls of a home or grow on woven clothes. When a person or object has Sara'at, they are considered tameh, spiritually unclean, and in need of purification. If the affliction did not go away, the person was isolated from the community, and the affected homes and clothes were destroyed. Once the priest determined that a person was healed, he would perform 2 complicated rituals 8 days apart to make the afflicted tahor, or spiritually clean, and allow them to enter society again. In this parsha, God also instructs Moses about the purification rituals for mothers following childbirth. Our Torah reading can be found on page 826 of our Chumashim. I'm going to do one other quiz. Anybody know why this is called a Chumash? Anybody know what word it comes from? Go ahead, Anne. Chamesh, Vav, the 5 books of the Torah. I guess it's forgetting the Haftarot that are in here, but it comes from Chumash Chamesh. Excellent. You know, I ask a question when I know I have a plant here that's, We are going to be on page 826, but we are first going to turn in our Sidurim, so now you have to balance 2 books, I'm sorry about that, to page 362 for the opening of the Torah service. 362. America. Come open the ark, would you please? Honor for the youngest person in the room. Got it. Please rise. Yep, we'll do this one as well. Excellent. You're good. Ein kamacha va'Elohim Adonai, v'yein kima'asecha, malechutecha malechut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'ador, Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imach, leolam void, Adonai az yamoyitein, Adonai yivarech We continue now with the words of the Shema, the middle of page 366. America, I need you back to close the ark. I'm so sorry. No, just the, this right here. Thank you. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adoninu, Kadosh Shema, Galul Adonai iti, Urub mima Shema yachdav, Lecha Adonai Hagidul. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishachavu lehakodsho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Ramemu. You have another time to try the keys. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Ramemu. You may be seated. For our first aliyah, we will call up Anne and Ken Greenberg. Yamdu. Yisrael ben Shimshon Orli bat Uri. Uri bat Uri, Aliyat Harishon. I'm going to give you this to touch. Baruch Adonai Hamarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Hold on to that. Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. And the most famous words in the Torah, Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Wrong column. I'm going to try that again. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el bnei Yisrael lemor. Isha ki tazri aviada zachar. V'tamha shivat shamim kimei. Midat dota titma. Uvayom ashmini yimol besar urlatov v'shalshim yom v'shloshet shamim teishei bidmei Torah. You're going to touch where that ends with your yep. Yes, and kiss and do the lessons after.
Okay.
Yep.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu.
come on this side. I'm going to invite Helen and Bob to come up. All right. So we are now on verse 4 on page 826. So you're going to touch where I point. If I, right there. There you go.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarah.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chabanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. ושלושים יום ושלושת ימים תשב בדמי טהרה, בכל קודש לא תיגע, ועל המקדש לא תבוא, עד מלאת ימי טהרה. ואם נקבה תלד בטהרה שבעת כנידתה, בשישים יום וששת ימים תשב על דמי טהרה, טהרה.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet b'chayei olam notah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And you guys can go down and you can come over here. Elliot, would you like an Aliyah? And did I, oh my God, my names just flew out of my head. I'm sorry, Isaac and Rose's grandma. I know your name, Joan. Oh, so sorry.
You know, it's not much of an honor when you used everybody. So.
Do you want to sit down? You want to go back down, Elliot?
Right?
Okay, we're now on verse 6. So I'm going to show you where it begins. Sorry. Right to there. You take this. Oops. You can touch and kiss right there. 1, 2, 3. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'charbanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Uvimlot shemei Torah leveino levatavi kebes ben shnato leolav en yonaoto lechatat el petach ohel moed el hakohen v'hikrivo lifnei Adonai v'chiper alecha v'tahera mimkor damecha zot Torat hayoledet zachar olam keva v'im lo timatzeh yada desev lacha shtei torim o shnei b'nei Yona echad leolav echad lechatat v'chiper alecha hakohen v'tahera. Okay, come on, take touch.
Asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam noteinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Beautiful. You may be seated at this time. We will pause for the Misha Barak, for the prayer for all in our community who are ill. I have a list of prepared names. If you have a name to add when I'm done reciting the list, please add that name as my eyes meet yours. This week we are thinking of Baruch ben Gittel, Constantine ben Dina, June Robinson, friend of Susan Elkind. Cinna Alderman, friend of the Lace family. Sandy Roberts, the uncle of Rabbi Gerson. Anne Solomonson, the niece of Susan Elkin. Bill Richter, GRS member. Marilyn Shaftel, the mother of Michael Shaftel. Eric Gutierrez, Ita Muta, Neshama Bat Yaakov, Ellen Marks, friend of Sheila and Larry Cantor. Tanine Allenson, Colleen Marie Kelly, Alan Elkowitz, the friend of Taffy Holliday. Lisa Schroer Demal Shulam, the friend of Sarah Gregoire, and Masha Bat Yehudit. If you have anyone else to add. We continue with the words of the Mishaberach sung, which can be found in our Sidurim on page 371. Mishaberach avotenu mikol habracha Limotenu, may the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mikol habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We turn now to the end of the Torah service, which can be found on 374. Ken, would you like to assist me in dressing the Torah? Just a little help on that end, actually. Yes, I'm not doing it the most. Sorry. Got it. While we're doing this, anybody know what book of the Torah we are presently reading from? Parshat Tazria comes from what book? Any guesses? Leviticus. And extra bonus points and a Hershey kiss from my desk if you know it in Hebrew. I'm kidding. You can have Hershey kiss anyway. Anybody know Leviticus in Hebrew? Vayikra. Vayikra, which means a lot like... So the names of the English names of the books actually have to do with kind of the church Bible, as opposed to a name by, I think, originally King James. The Hebrew names are literally the beginning of the parsha. So the first book of each book is also the first parsha of that book. So Bereshit, the first parsha is Bereshit. Shemot, the first, and it usually comes from the first sentence of that parsha. Little trivia, Torah trivia for the evening. Please rise as we continue with Eitz Chaim on the bottom of page 374. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast. Eitz Chaim lama chazikim ba v'tam Not Making America Come Up Again. We remain standing as we begin to conclude our service with Aleinu, excuse me, which can be found on page 586. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tet gdula liotzer breshit, shehu notei shamayim v'yased haaretz, u'moshav yikoro b'shamayim mimah, u'shchinat uzeo b'govei meromim, u'Eloheinu einot, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malachei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al haaretz, bayom hahu, yi Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. You may be seated. We continue now with the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598, and think of those who have died at this season in years past and those whom we have lost recently. We are observing the yahrzeits of Max Bernclau, father of Sandy Klein, Lynn Fisher Compton, the friend of Deborah Lobelson, Cindy Gould, the grandmother of Kim Field, Sally Hartman Gould, the mother of Laura Grad, Edith Schultz, the grandmother of Nancy Least. If there's someone else whom you're thinking of now, I invite you to say their names as my eyes meet yours. And as we share names tonight and you rise to remember your loved ones, we invite you to, if you wish, share a few words about them, your relationship, any memories. Did you want to say anything about your grandmother? Okay. We rise for Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on 598. Yit gadal v'yit gadash shemei rabbah, bi'alama divrach hirutei v'yamlich machutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'isman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach leolam olamei alamaya. Yit barach v'yish tabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit romam v'yit naseh v'yit hadar v'yit alev v'yit halal shemei dekudesha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel and to the whole world, and let us say amen. You may be seated. And Elliot, my apologies. Did you want to share any memories of your loved one? Okay, my apologies. At this time, we call our president, Ken Greenberg, to the bima.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Cantor, for a beautiful service. A few announcements. We'll go quickly. This Tuesday, April 4th at 7:30, we're continuing with our Musar study with the rabbi. All of these are in the bulletin, so if you want more information, go there. Next Friday, very important, for the first time in 2 years, we are going to be having a dinner as well as tot services. I don't think that applies to anybody here. A dinner at 6 o'clock, and most importantly, a family service, which will start at 7. And am I correct, Cantor? Are we going to be starting services as I heard today, candle lighting was technically 7:06, so we're going to get closer to candle lighting at least as it gets lighter later. And so services from here on out until it gets dark again will be at 7 o'clock. Something I'm really excited about a week from Sunday, we are having our matzah making. We are getting a pizza truck, which will be the first time they've ever not made pizza. They have a wood-fired oven, which is hot enough to make matzah. We will be providing the flour, the water, and the bowls, it appears, and the bowls, a change. So everything. That, as well as the dinner, are RSVP events, so let the office know that you're coming. And finally, another RSVP event, Saturday, April 16th, the second night of Pesach. We are going to be picking up our tradition again of having a second night family Seder, including a dinner. It's another RSVP event, and check the bulletin for further information about all of this stuff.
Wonderful. And just, this is hot off the presses. Not only are we making making matzah, but afterwards we're actually going to make pizza. Like, not with the matzah, but like just for fun in the parking lot and have pizza. So, I mean, obviously the matzah is not like what we're eating on Pesach. It wouldn't last that long anyway, but it'll be a ton of fun. You'll see how to make it. It is multi-generational. Please, everybody come. Lots of flour in the parking lot. And,
Did you have something, Alan?
and there'll be no service, there'll be services next week, there'll be no services the first night of Pesach because it's the first night everybody's having their Sederim. But then, of course, the Seder's the next night. So we will conclude now with Kiddush and Motzi. Please rise. If you want to follow along with Kiddush, I have it. You know, I used to have every single page memorized, but you know, I have to be here another like 5 years to have all the pages memorized. Page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yavav ratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehila l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim ki vanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'abim v'shabbat kodshecha mi'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadish haShabbat. And now for our tradition, I just want to mention, by the way, we can all say hello to Justice, who's been helping us with the live feed this evening and is a brilliant technician and assisting with lots of things here. We have a really kind of a crazy GRS tradition. We'll show you. Echad, shtaim, shalosh. Let's try it again. Echad, shtaim, shalosh. Oh, what a beautiful challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz Shabbat shalom.